Hi everyone, it's Brenda Hills. Welcome back. So today we are going to be fermenting onions. So the reason I'm fermenting onions, I actually don't like raw onions. I can't eat them. They make my stomach hurt. Fermented onions is different because it changes the way that they behave in your body. It makes it so you can. And then also if you want to just take your onions and fry them if you want, even though that will kill the beneficial bacteria. It's not a bad thing to even just cook with them if you want. You can eat them right out of the jar, or you can cook with them. It really doesn't matter. But the point is that you are getting probiotics in your diet. It is always best to do them raw. So I'm just going to cut these into little strips. There is really no wrong way. If you want them finely diced, great. Me, I'm just gonna do them into strips. So they're gonna end up looking, just kind of like little thingies. I might cut them a little bit smaller. And then if you wanna wear a gas mask while you cut your onions, that's great because they're starting to make my eyeballs go. I really, like I said, I don't eat raw onions. They don't agree with me. Probiotic onions are different. And I like that my body prefers that over a raw one because the raw ones are they're just a lot for me. So I'm actually gonna cut them in half. And like I said, there's no wrong way. You can do them however you want. I wouldn't wanna do them as a whole onion, because then, it's going to take a long time to ferment. A long time to ferment. And then obviously, let me get that off. Separating them. So I will be right back and we'll do the rest of it. Okay, so we're back. All the onions are chopped and now we are going to put them in our jar. So we're gonna actually just use a mason jar for this one. I'm gonna put my handy dandy little funnel, whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna put our onions in the jar. Okay, so as we're putting the onions in the jar, I'm gonna show you, well not as, after, I'm going to show you a different lid that we're going to use in this system. So all the other ones, well, the one jar with the broccoli, it has its own little air spout that just allows it to release the air. In the covered container, the fermentation box, it kind of just does its own little thing, and that's okay. This one is a lid that has a hole in it and a seal around it, so you can see that little seal right there, and then a gas lock, so it'll let the gases out without the juices. So sometimes your juices will push up and try to come out the lid. This will keep the juices from coming out of the bottle but allow it to release the air. And there's a little float, I don't know if you can see the little floater in there, flotation, so it can move as it needs to. And in the top of the lid, you can't see it, but there's little tiny holes all around the edge. So this, you just push that in there. So you can see on this one side, it's coming through. You don't need to push it in very far, but it's gonna sit like this on your jar. So we've got our onions in the jar. And I'm just gonna kind of push them down a little bit, but we don't need to. This is just 2 onions. I probably could do a 3rd onion, which maybe I will. I think we'll add a 3rd onion. I'll be back. Okay, so we are back. I have cut up another onion. My face is melting. My eyeballs are gonna pour out of my head, but hey, we have a jar of onions, so taking one for the team. Just kidding. But not really. Onions are not fun to peel, or peel. Didn't peel an onion, I chopped it, sliced it, diced it, and threw some on the counter. Anyway, so I'm just gonna push it all down, and as it ferments, it will release air, it will release pressure, especially with an onion because they're just funky anyway, right? So I'm gonna add some sea salt, or not sea salt, Celtic salt on top. Celtic salt is really great because it has a lot of minerals to it, more than like a real salt or the Himalayan salt. Celtic salt is loaded with minerals, so it revitalizes and remineralizes your body. So salt on there, and I have this is my culture. So it looks kind of cloudy. It's got all the bacterias in it to start and ferment. So you don't necessarily have to use a culture, but it makes it go faster. And you know, you're just pouring into it what it needs faster. So I'm just gonna pour that over the top. Just gonna mix the salt in, and we're gonna just add water on top of that. And I usually use a little, not cold water, but warmish water. So just pour that on top. You want to give it a little bit of room in the head space. It needs about 2 inches. So as it ferments, the onions will get soft and they'll make more room. But we do have about 2 inches of head space. Some people, when they're doing, don't mind me, wow, that was loud. Some people, when they do ferments, like to use a weight. So this is actually a glass weight that'll fit. Well, this one won't fit in, but they have smaller ones. So I think I have one right here. Different sizes, but you can put that in your jar to hold the food down underneath the surface. They're not necessary, especially if you check it every day and you just push it down. And if anything gets a weird color on it, just pull it out and then remix it. It's fine. There's nothing bad in it. Nothing bad can grow in fermented food. It just cannot. And remember, there are 0 cases of botulism or food poisoning in fermented food. 0. So this is a jar of fermenting onions, and the air will escape on its own. So I don't have to burp it if I don't want to, but I will probably check it every day just to make sure that it's doing its things. And then it'll start to release some of the air that's around it. Obviously there's air in it because, I don't know if you can see it, a little bit. There's air trapped down at the bottom from just putting vegetables in a bottle and then filling it up. So we're just gonna kind of release that a little bit. And it will do a lot of it on its own once it starts to ferment. Anyway, that is how you ferment onions. And like I said, you can use this in a pasta salad, you can put it on your pizza, you can eat it out of the jar, you can saute them. If you saute them, you will lose the benefits of the probiotics. So it's a give and take, but if you just like onions, this is perfect. And if you're like me and can't handle raw onions, you can eat these. These will change the way that the onion responds in your stomach, and actually doesn't hurt. It feels so much better. Doesn't cause pain, and you're getting all the probiotics. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again. Maybe.